a woman a fish, and she'll eat for a day. Teach a woman to fish, and she'll eat every day. Happy Giving Tuesday if you're watching when this episode airs. If you're watching later, happy giving any day. Being charitable and giving isn't just a one-time thing. In fact, Giving Tuesday was started to celebrate the American spirit of generosity and the American tradition of giving, particularly around the holidays, year end. Make sure you get that tax donation or tax deduction if that's important to you, but really it's about giving. And today I want to tell you a story about one of the most impactful gifts ever given in American history. It has When I first heard this story, it just blew my mind when it comes to what it means to be charitable and giving. You see, I personally give a portion of every dollar I receive first, even before saving, and then I give a little extra for good measure. To not do so, or maybe even to give like larger one-time gifts that I save up for, that just seems irresponsible to me. Charities need the money now and can do so much good now. Why wait? But this story has inspired me to think a little differently about what it means to be charitable and make an impact through giving. Can't wait to share this with you. Welcome to the Fife Movement. I'm your host, Amanda Neely. This is the only movement that helps our generation create our unique, feminine, and entrepreneurial approach to financial independence. Thank you so much for being here. Please be sure to subscribe and hit that bell if you're watching on YouTube so you get notifications of future episodes. I'm going to start by asking you a question. If you had $250,000 and you were on your deathbed, what would you do with it? Would you give it immediately to your favorite charities? Would you leave it for your children? What if you were clever enough to find a way to have that $250,000 make an impact worth multiple millions, if not billions, over the next 200 years? This predicament is exactly the one Benjamin Franklin found himself in 1785 through like 1790 when his health was declining and he had to decide what to do with his wealth. And this French mathematician, Joseph Mathon de la Cure, sure he pronounced it so much more eloquently than I did, but he created this parody of Benjamin Franklin's Poor Richard's Almanac. In Mathon de la Cure's Fortunate Richard, the main character leaves a small amount of money to grow with interest over up to 5 centuries. And the results are that there's an unbelievable sum at the end of 500 years that can be used on utopian projects. And Ben Franklin loved the idea. He wrote a thank you note to De la Cure, and he updated his will. Upon his death, Ben left £1,000, which is the equivalent of $125,000 in 2018 terms, each to Boston and Philadelphia, $250,000 total, but with a catch. This money had to go into a 200-year trust. And over the first 100 years, the trust money could only be loaned out to married men under 25 who had completed apprenticeships and wanted to start their own businesses. The men would then pay back those loans at 5% interest. It was the first micro lending right there. Benjamin Franklin, not only did he invent electricity, he invented micro lending as well. Now, Ben did allow for the cities to use a little bit of the growth of these funds for the public benefit, to create bridges, public buildings, parks, that kind of thing. But the funds were really meant to grow and compound. And during those first 100 years, hundreds of young entrepreneurs in Boston and in Philly got the seed money to start their businesses. One bricklayer who got $100 in 1808 became Boston's mayor in 1831. Literally, Benjamin Franklin was still changing lives decades after his death. And after the 100 years, the cities could evaluate and alter the original intent, but not fully change everything. At that time, Philly had the equivalent of $2.8 million, and Boston had the equivalent of $10.1 million from that first 100 years. That's how much it had grown into. And then over those next 100 years, the cities used the funds to do some major development of institutions, including the Benjamin Franklin Institute of Technology in Boston and the Franklin Institute in Philly, one of the most popular destinations to visit in Philly. I can't wait to go there and visit in after COVID, right? And I could go on and on about the different things that this trust accomplished. It wasn't all good, right? Of course, anytime you have large sums of money, there's going to be people fighting over it. There's going to be some mismanagement. But really, between the direct spending of the fund on those public improvements and the economic value created by those entrepreneurs, um, and through some of those institutes that taught young people, I'd say those funds ended up doing a lot of good, maybe even more than if the 250,000 had just been donated to charity right away upon Ben's death. That 250,000 might have fed a lot of people or helped with some medical research or something like that. But instead, it had this 200-year legacy that taught many men and women how to feed themselves, and it increased the quality of life in two major cities for everyone who's lived there since and will probably live there going forward. And by 1990, right, the 200 years were up, there was still 4.5 million in Boston's trust and 2 million in Philly's trust. I mean, think about that. After all of that benefit. Now, when I think about this question, give now or give later, I think about Ben after learning this story. I definitely don't have $250,000 yet, but I'll likely donate it within my lifetime easily. What if I was able to give $250,000 in those small increments monthly over my lifetime and also leave $250,000 to a trust to continue the good work when I'm gone? That's my new goal after hearing Ben's story. I want to give as much in my lifetime as I leave to continue giving when I finally graduated. And I want to do it in this legacy kind of way that's thinking for multiple generations. I also think about, inspired by this story, what might not be apparent, right when you first hear it, is what if I'm able to donate it to causes that teach people how to fish rather than only causes that give people fish? And I actually read this really cool book called When Helping Hurts several years ago that showed me that there are really like three different kinds of poverty and three different things that those poverty need, like solutions to those poverties. Some poverty needs relief, right? A sandwich, a warm meal, a nice place to stay that night, things like that. Great charities doing that work. But there's also poverty that needs rehabilitation, homes built, right? Homes rebuilt after hurricanes or fires come to mind right now. Rehabilitation efforts, there's awesome charities doing that work. And then there's also development work that needs to happen where there's job training, right? People that are working to change laws to make it easier for people to find work and provide for themselves. That's also really great charities to support. And what I try to do as much as possible is give in each of those areas rather than just one or the other, so that I'm kind of attacking poverty from all areas and contributing to nonprofits and charities that are working in all of those areas. And I don't pretend to have all the answers here. Just wanted to share some thoughts for you as you're thinking about giving on Giving Tuesday, or making a year-end charitable donation, or thinking about how you want to be more generous in the year to come. I'd love to hear from you what some of the things are that you consider important and the lessons you've learned and where you're learning them from. Please comment, and let's all get a little smarter about our giving, just like we're smart with our saving, our spending, and our investing. Thanks for joining me and connecting with the Fife movement. As you go about your day today, remember, wealth is coming your way. Your quest is to prepare for using it well. For more tips on how to prepare, be sure to subscribe, and to connect with the community, visit fifemovement.com. If my gift has helped you today, please pay that gift forward by sharing this content with a friend. My gratitude in advance. To help this video be seen by more people, please hit that like button. And I'd also Love to hear from you. What stuck out to you from today's story? What questions are you asking, or what tips do you have? What are some of your favorite charities that you like to donate to? Whatever is striking you as a chord right now, would love to hear from you. Please comment.